Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub, and the other guy, of course, is Les Jackson. Hey, Les.
Hey, Fred. Welcome back. Well, we haven't gone anywhere, but welcome back to our microphones again. And as usual, a lot to talk about.
Yeah, you've got a review of a vehicle that is in high demand, and that is
Oh
the
boy,
Maverick, right?
absolutely. And I have a better understanding of why it's in such high demand.
Yeah. Do you think it's, what is the understanding of it? Is it just a great vehicle, or is
It's
it?
a game changer. It really is. It's it's not a heavy duty pickup truck. But this thing, I've driven this thing a couple hundred miles around and in Washington D.C., and I'm averaging 42.1.
Now, the hybrid is only what, front wheel drive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what's kind of interesting about this vehicle? Back in the day, before chip shortages and supply chain issues, a base model of this vehicle probably would have been thrown into the rental fleet, or
Yep,
just a
yep.
stripped out version would be like, for the someone that reads the gas meters or a service truck. But now these things are trading for well over their sticker price. We have a personal example of that. We have a
we
mutual
we
friend
certainly do. Yep.
who
Uh,
who
and
literally paid 24,000 and sold it
yep.
for much more.
And I'll talk about this when I review this later in the hour. A lot to talk about. It's a very interesting product.
Yeah, yeah. I think Ford has done well there. It's another hit for
Sure
them.
have.
I bet they didn't expect it to be so popular, but that's great mileage, and I'd like to see them make a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive version of the hybrid too. I bet they will, don't you think? At some
I
point.
think so. This is the new commuter vehicle. That honestly,
Yeah, and you can
um,
use it on the weekend to haul
in 5.
bikes or whatever. Hey, we're gonna
yeah.
get ready for the live show. We'll be right back.
Releases details and pricing on its new Integra, which that's a car. It's a little well, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, we will talk about the Integra, and I think that is. I think it's going to be a hit because it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money nowadays, and it's
No.
a lot of performance. So we'll talk about that, and we're also going to look at a new study that says consumers are really enjoying shopping for vehicles online. They don't want to go back, and one segment of the automotive industry's targeted folks to go buy vehicles absolutely loves it. They don't want to set foot in dealers, and I kind of don't blame them.
I don't either. It's never a wonderful experience, but anyway. Over at Subaru, they put a number on their first battery electric, the Solterra. We'll tell you what the number is.
Yeah, and it is all-wheel drive. It is an all-wheel drive
Gotta
electric.
be.
Yeah. And then you're going to have the review of a very popular vehicle.
Hmm.
It is none other than the Ford Maverick. This is the hybrid edition. mileage on this thing is incredible, isn't it?
It's incredible, and it's a babe magnet.
That's all you drive, Les.
That's it. Yeah, well, it's me, of course, but it's amazing. Everybody, women all want it to go to work in.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's something Ford has done right. Once again, they have a number of hits: the Bronco, the Maverick, of course, the Lightning, which we told you about at the start of the show. And I think they call it a pickup truck for people who didn't think they would need a pickup truck. But I'm anxious to get your take on it for sure. And we're going to have that and a whole lot more when we get rolling on this edition of Cruise Control Radio, your on-air automotive magazine. And we talked a lot about this. I'm real interested in this piece about how people are really just wanting to move away from dealers. They don't like spending hours doing paperwork. They don't like being handed off from person to person. And this is the way people buy things. You know, they want to just sit there and, hey, I need a car, and just sit there with their own thoughts and figure out what they want and then, buy it. So
Exactly.
I think a real interesting study, but we're going to get started with Ford kicking off the production of the Lightning F-150 pickup truck. So stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. This is your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Les. He's Fred. You know us. We've been here every week for years and years. And something else that's been around every week for 45 years running is the F-150, the Ford F-150. Now, the Lightning is the new electric F-150. I got introduced to it last summer. Static. Didn't get to drive it. But got to sit in it and, learn all about it. And of course, the question was, when are you going to make it? And we all know what the limitations have been, but there they go. The Rouge plant is cranking up.
Yeah.
And they're building these things as we speak because they've got to fill, 200,000 orders?
Yeah, unprecedented 200,000 orders. They have invested in this plant, Ford has, $950 million and created 750 jobs at the Rouge Electric Vehicle Center. That's the new building. And that's pretty amazing. When you think about it, think about that. 750 jobs, good jobs, and the inputting $950 million into a plant.
Yeah,
they know this thing is gonna go.
Well,
isn't it?
They certainly do, and of course, the F-150 itself is the best-selling truck for 45 years. I didn't know this. It's second only to the iPhone in revenue.
Wow.
Among all American products. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. You think about brand recognition and model recognition, it's got to be right up there. Neither of us have driven it yet. I look forward to driving it, though, don't you?
I do, too. I liked, of course, I sat in it. Felt like an F-150.
F-150, yeah.
A very comfortable, extremely well-appointed F-150.
Right.
I know it's going to be fast. And massive towing power. Won't be cheap.
No, it won't be cheap, although it will have decent range, up to 320 miles of range, which is very decent and very usable. And then I think a lot of people are going to plug it into their homes. They'll probably... I don't know if Ford is doing anything to help them do that, have a plug for it, but you can basically power your house with this truck. And
that's right.
That has happened in many cases in storms and things like that. I think they sent some of these
They sent,
to like tornado damaged areas and things, right?
yeah, down in Texas last year, they sent what, like 500 or 600 of them
Right.
down there to power homes. These are great. Now it does have a starting price a little bit less than 40,000, but you know how that works.
The dealer doubles it. That's how it
Well,
works.
I mean, but even if the dealer was appropriately honest, most people want other stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean there
you know,
is a work version of this, which I think you will see
right,
in fleets easily, but they do want the one with all the features and that, and
yeah,
especially if this is your first electric vehicle, you're probably going to want to dress it up. Now, to answer that, what I just talked about, home charging, they've partnered with somebody called Sunrun, and that will give the high-speed charger. They will wire that to your home, which is great because a lot of people they don't want to go out and find an electrician, and
right,
it's
right.
somebody says I always wanted to install an electric charger, car start or charger. You want someone that's familiar with it and can just come in and say, "Yep, this is what we got to do." So, have you thought about adding an electric charger to your home?
Well, I have, but the problem is I'm limited to 30 amps. In these townhouses, there's only so much capacity, and I've got a 30 amp circuit that's exactly the opposite end of the house from the garage.
Wow.
So, it would, to run a heavier breaker and heavier wire, I'd have to dig into the walls. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, there's someone. I'm also in a townhome, and there's someone here that had it done. I think it was a couple of $1,000s. I mean, the panel is in the
Yep.
garage, so
Yeah.
if
See,
there's
you're
enough
ahead.
service, it would be as easy as just making a hole in the sheetrock and
Yeah.
jumping into the panel.
If
But
my panel was in the garage, you know me, I would be attached to the grid.
all right, well, we'll get less
So,
attached to the grid and then unattached, so he can come back, and we're going to talk about the Acura Integra coming back on Cruise Control. We'll be right back.
this other
Cruise Control.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I we're always talking when we're at commercial about, guess what? The industry. Anyway, Acura has returned the Integra. For those of us that know these brands, the Integra has always been a desirable car. I don't think it's, Fred, what do you think? I don't think it's really sold all that well.
Well, there was a time when it did.
Well, years ago.
Years ago, and Acura is making a big deal about bringing it back.
Yep.
But it's bringing it back to a changed world where people, there's been a propensity for folks in the U.S. to not really like hatchbacks. So it's a
That's
hatchback,
right.
and it is a sedan that is a hatchback.
They got me.
So
I'm there. This makes a lot of sense. It's turbocharged, 5 doors, you say?
yeah, 5-door liftback. That's what they call it.
That's right. Lift back.
It's not a hatchback; it's a liftback.
That's
You got it all
that's right.
wrong.
Yeah,
It's got
I'm
a
not driving a
1.5
hatchback.
liter, 200 horsepower at
Yep.
6,000 RPM. That is winging it out, and 192 pound-feet at between 1,800 and 5,000.
That's plenty.
Oh,
Boy, that's a flat curve.
it's got one of these things, a 6-speed manual transmission.
Wow. Well,
Remember those?
I think all 4 people who buy those will love them. it's, it's Fortunately, they have a very good automatic, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a sport-tuned suspension
Yep.
with active dampers, integrated dynamic system, includes sport, comfort, normal driving modes. The only liftback in its segment with
Hmm.
class-leading rear legroom and cargo volume.
Wow.
There won't be an all-wheel drive version of this, I guess, right? Will not.
Well, um,
Let's see.
I think the market would be too small.
Now let's look at some of the pricing on it. Integra, the base transmission is a CVT, which, if done well,
It's a good one.
yeah, can be good. 30,000, including destination handling. We'll just give you the prices, including destination handling. 31,895. It's
Good.
funny they break that out because it's like, oh, I don't want the optional destination and handling. you can't you
Well,
can't get rid of it.
sure.
You know what I mean? It's
And
not.
you can't go get it.
Yeah,
That's what has always bothered me.
yeah. Well, I always remember. I always remember when we would buy a car when I was young. It's like, well, if I get the AM/FM radio, do I get
Mm.
credit for the AM radio? And the answer was always no.
No, no, of course not. It's
so, so you're buying both actually.
yep.
Integra A spec with the CVT, 33,895, and then with the tech package, it pops up to 36,895, and with the 6-speed manual, it is the same price actually as the CVT with the A spec. Tech package at 36,895. So all in 36,895. My take on this, I think there are a number of people that are waiting for this and can't wait and will run right out and get that A spec with the tech package and 6-speed manual. But the market has significantly changed.
Yep.
I don't know what the market in the US is for this type of vehicle. What do you think?
Well, I think the market is limited, as they like to say. But remember, the Golf GTI and the Golf period have been significantly reduced in offering.
Yep.
So this, I think, steps in and can win over a lot of those rather loyal enthusiasts.
Yeah, it is much more swoopy looking than the GTI, which is still kind of boxy and that. But
Right.
5-door sedans, though, they never sold well. So I'm not sure.
No, but it doesn't look like a hatchback.
Lift back, Les. Lift back.
I'm sorry, I'm a purist.
I do love the two-tone interior.
Yep, that's nice.
I think it's really nice. I love the blue that they used. I had one of their SUVs that had that blue on it. I think that's just a beautiful color and would be a great color if you were restoring a car and you didn't care about color purity. I always said this. You don't have to go with custom colors. There are plenty of factory colors that would look really good on like a street rod or something. Wouldn't that look great?
Yeah, actually it would.
So I always thought, why go with something custom when you can go and find it and say, I'll just do that Acura blue. I think that would be nice. But it will be well appointed. Honda does one of the best interiors. They've always done great interiors, except for that one time where
Except for that 2010
Civic, where they cheaped
Civic.
it out and they got called out for it. Remember that? It was like
Boy, but
emergency fix.
that's the fastest response on the part of a factory I've ever seen.
It was like all hands on deck. We
Man.
need to fix this. Yeah, that it was too and it was like the old school way of people apologizing. I have let you down. I have failed you. It was like painful to watch. Now the new Civic interior is nice. It's like a vintage sports car. They have that kind of machined panel on there. I like it. I think it looks cool. So
Cool.
yep. All right. Well, there you go. The if it's something you're waiting for, the Acura Integra, we'll have more information on it when we get a chance to drive it. But at least price-wise, hard to believe $36,000 is kind of a deal these days, but it is, isn't it?
It is. It is. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Good luck getting it for that price, but
Well,
I'm optimistic.
okay. How about this? Let's talk about Mercedes. And Mercedes never one to be on the affordable side of things, but
Never.
let's talk about this AMG vehicle, which is it's got a lot of technology. This is the AMG C43 sedan. I love the way those wheels fit in those wheel openings. That is almost like a custom
Yeah.
look, you know. It's going to have a 48-volt onboard electrical system, which that is just like one of the vehicles I just drove from Mercedes. It is almost imperceivable mild hybrid. It has a 2-liter 4-cylinder, one-man, one-engine process. It still goes through that. They're still signed by it, and a 9-speed AMG speed shift transmission. And this has explain some of the tech here, and we'll probably get into it more after the break. But the electric motor, this is an electric turbocharged vehicle, right? So the electric motor is around 1.6 inches thin and is integrated between the turbocharger shaft and the turbine wheel on the exhaust side and the compressor wheel on the intake side. Electronically controlled, this drives the shaft of the turbocharger directly and accelerates the compressor wheel before the gas flow takes over to drive in conventional manner. What does that all mean? It means they have eliminated turbo lag, because that's what turbo lag is. You want the power, but the squirrel cage fan is not spinning fast enough yet because you don't have the exhaust flow, right?
Yeah. Now, and this eliminates having to have 2 turbochargers.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of those systems, they have a smaller turbocharger that will spool up faster.
Right.
And then it hands off to a larger turbine once it's up to speed. And this weighs a lot less, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I just have a terrible feeling that this is expensive to fix.
We'll talk about how expensive it is when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Also coming up, that study about people not wanting to go to dealers anymore. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com for all the links to all the stuff. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We were talking about this Mercedes-AMG C43 sedan. It's got some interesting trickery going on under the hood. I think this is technology we're going to see a lot more in cars. This is an electric turbocharger. As you mentioned, other manufacturers like Ford and many others use twin turbos. They use a small turbo to get things going because it will spool up easier, less resistance.
Right.
And then it hands off the pressure to a larger turbine, which is now up to speed. That's a sophisticated system with a lot of plumbing, 2 turbochargers, expensive, heavy. The folks over at Mercedes have done that initial spool up with an electric motor that's only 1.6 inches thin, as they say.
That's pretty thin.
Yeah. And it spins up, get this motor, speeds up to 175,000 RPM, which I love how the release said, which enables a very high airflow rate. anything that would spin that high. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is powered by the 48-volt hybrid system, which is interesting. The Mercedes SUV I had a hybrid 48-volt hybrid system, and that actually used energy from that 48 volts to control the suspension, which was an adaptive suspension type thing. I think this is pretty cool. This is a 4-cylinder engine, 2-liter, 402 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, which they says enables a sporty driving performance.
I would say sporty.
Yeah.
Is understatement.
And then that 48-volt hybrid system will briefly add about 13 horsepower through the belt-driven starter generator. Mild hybrid, but with an electrically spun-up turbocharger. I think this is pretty cool. I think we will see more people go with something like this, don't you?
Well, I think so, but it will not be what anyone would describe as inexpensive.
No, but you think about the motor. I mean, that's the good thing about that is if it ever went bad, you could replace it probably fairly easily, right?
Yeah, I'll bet it's a $3,000 motor.
That's right.
Yeah.
By the way, too, this includes a 3-stage AMG parameter steering and standard rear axle steering. So unlike the S-Class Mercedes, which has subscription-based rear steering, this has its standard. I guess that's what you get for buying an AMG model, right?
Yeah. Well, I like these rear steering. They're not like steering like the front. Rear steer is usually just a few degrees, but it's amazing how much more nimble it makes them.
You and I were in New York City, and we were standing there, and a big tour bus went around the corner in front of us. And I said, look, it's got rear steering. And the rear wheels, one set of them, were just barely, I'd say about an inch, inch and a half, something like that, barely steering. But it makes a difference when it's all the way out back there. So cool stuff. Cool stuff. Well, let's take a look at this study. We talked about this. You and I have been talking about this forever, how COVID has probably changed the way people buy vehicles going forward, hasn't it?
It's changed a lot of people's behavior and preferences.
Have people talked to you about it, like how they liked buying things on air? On air. Yeah, we're selling cars now. No, they've liked buying cars basically online, right? Like they buy everything else.
That's right. And, we're talking about Gen X, Y, Z, the millennials. They prefer this. They're used to it. Hey, they're comfortable with it.
I'm older than being a millennial, and I prefer it too because there's less BS.
I like it.
It's like it's in stock. I'll give you, for instance, this is crazy. I was just doing some plumbing work this week. I needed a little coupler at a big box store. This thing is about 3 inches long. It was a coupler, slip joint coupler. They wanted $37 for it. I found it online, same thing in stainless for between $6 and $9. Shipped.
Yep. Well,
so I mean that's a big difference. And it's in stock and I can have it the next day. So anyway, we don't need to. I think we've already proven a lot of people like buying stuff online.
I just had a neighbor this week ask me if I was familiar with Carvana. They just bought a used BMW on Carvana. And I said, yeah, it works great. And they were selling their existing car to Carvana.
I hear it's a great way to sell a car. They literally send somebody out. They look around it. They take some pictures. I think they drive it around the block, and then they're like, yep, how's this price sound?
That's it.
which is great. It's like, okay, good. Can you take
That's
that
right.
one away and bring another one
Here's
here? Yeah.
here's the title.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Here's the title. You're done. And, we'll send you the paperwork online. Well, this is a study by Progressive Insurance. They interviewed 501 people, people who bought cars in dealerships and online. And based on 251 people who completed the transaction entirely online or through a dealer website, and 250 who did business face-to-face. That's kind of the breakup of the group. People loved the young youthful people loved.
That's right.
And those of us who think we're youthful, people under the age of 57 by a landslide preferred buying vehicles online, while those over the age of 57, almost 80%, preferred to look someone in the face before putting money down. Between 40 and 57, the split was 50-50. Dealer visitors cited the chance to a test drive as the reason for visiting a storefront, whereas online shoppers finding the exact car they wanted was number one reason for going digital. Well, here's the thing. You do get a test drive with Carvana and Vroom. You get, I think, 7 days to try it out. That is the ultimate test drive, right? I think you have to.
Well, plus
you're limited to like 200 miles, but still, you can figure it out in 200 miles if you like it or not, right?
Well, that's right. And the other thing to do is when you're shopping or looking for a car, narrow down what you like and phone the car rental companies and see if they've got something to rent. Rent it for a day or two.
Or even that service, I can't think of it now, where people rent their personal cars. You know what I'm talking about? And And sometimes you weirdly see that on Facebook Marketplace, but I think it's going through that business because obviously they can't do this on their own. You need special insurance, and that's what this company, I can't think of their name. If anyone that is listening or watching knows the name of that company where you do that. It's an online company that facilitates it. But, that's a great way to try it out. Even if you rent it for a couple of hours and take it on the highway, take it around, sit in it, I think that's a good way to do it. But I've heard the only bad thing I've heard about Carvana is they were a little slow in providing the titles because they outsourced that, and they got a lot of bad press for it. So I'm thinking they're probably on that. I know I would be if I ran that company, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I've read the same thing that they've been. I don't know what it is now, but certainly before the holidays, it was kind of everywhere. They just couldn't do it quickly.
Mm. Hey, let's move on to something from Subaru. The Solterra, their first battery electric vehicle, absolutely an all-wheel drive vehicle. So the only one they build that's not all-wheel drive is the BRZ.
BRZ.
Yeah, which is the sporty car we talked about last week. It has standard symmetrical all-wheel drive available in all states. The price is going to be $44,495. And the vehicle is eligible for $7,500 federal tax credit because these are some of the first vehicles Subaru is selling. I think they get up to 200,000 of them. That is $44,995 for the premium price level. It goes up from there, topping off at $53,220. So not bad. Not bad for this vehicle.
Not bad at all.
250-mile range. When we come back, Les Jackson hits the road in the Ford Maverick Hybrid. He's going to have an at-the-wheel review, so stay tuned.
Cruise control.
Hey, welcome back to Cruise Control. Well, listen, Fred, I'm not going to put it off any longer. I'm reviewing the truck that hundreds of thousands of people around the country want, and they're paying big bucks for them. But let me just give a quick. This is the Ford Maverick. Most of you listening or watching haven't seen one on the road yet because they're just beginning to get out there. But it's based on the Escape, and it's a small bed, about, I think it's 4 feet wide, so you can actually lay drywall flat, but it's only about 4.5 feet deep.
How much smaller is it than the Ranger, would you say?
Well, I would say maybe half a foot.
Okay.
It's not much.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's a crew cab, very roomy, like the inside of an Escape hybrid. This is the base model. You can't get anything. I don't want to say lower in the sense that it's cheesy, because it's not. It's very well put together. But here's what you get. Most people, if you're looking streaming, the price is right here. Base price $19,995.
And this is for a truck.
This is for a truck, and
it's a
hybrid truck.
Yeah. And
destination delivery $14,995. So $21,490. This is what you get. It's very high quality. Inside, the interior is your basic dark black interior, but the quality of materials is very good. Has a lot of lighter headlight highlights, like the headliner and some appointments around the dash. So it doesn't give you that kind of dull black interior. However, a really nice interior is the next model up. That's what our friend Glenn got, and it's really handsome. Anyway, you get manual seats, you get manual mirrors.
Wow, I haven't encountered a vehicle that has manual mirrors.
And that's not,
you shove them with your finger, right?
You shove them with your finger. You tell your passenger, here, push that down. It has power windows, and the driver's window has the automatic up, easy up, easy down.
Right.
So what? You get a remote start with the remote keyless entry.
Mm-hmm.
You get a telematics hotspot with it.
Wow. Okay.
Android Auto, Apple CarPlay.
Right.
I mean, this is a lot of stuff.
What wheels did the base model have?
They were disc wheels, pressed steel wheels. And everybody that saw it said, boy, I really like those wheels.
What do they have, a poverty cap in the front?
Yeah, it has a real nice hubcap. They look great. They really look good. They don't look like low end or anything. The whole truck is just, when you see it, you just don't get the impression you're getting a base model.
Okay.
Mine came in dark blue. It's called Velocity Blue, and the hybrid is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, and of course the hybrid motor, electric motor. I'll tell you right up front, I drove over 200 miles all around DC, in the suburbs, out on the road, 42.1 average miles per gallon.
Wow. That's crazy.
A truck.
In a truck. It's not all-wheel drive. You can't get
front-wheel
all-wheel drive.
Only.
Yeah, in
front-wheel
the hybrid.
Drive only.
You can get an all-wheel drive model, but from what I have read, people have been snapping up the hybrid. They just think it's great.
Well, because it's a game changer. The fact is, it's an affordable small truck, which most people who are buying trucks, especially for commuting, that's what they want. They want a maneuverable, easy to park, utilitarian truck, but they're not towing stuff. They're not carrying huge loads. They're not in the construction industry. But they get everything else. It sits up high, lots of visibility in and out. And you get in, the seats are comfortable. They're manual, of course. But it's so quiet inside. It's so smooth on the road. Nice, big, tall tires. You really feel like you're in a car.
Wow.
So, which is another thing. Here you are driving this truck, which everybody at the stoplights is either giving you the hey or yelling out the window, "Where'd you get that?"
I made it myself.
That's it. Well, unfortunately, I would show them this, and it just says "vehicle not for sale."
Yeah, we know what that means.
Yeah. So, it's very much like driving an Escape. It's just a little taller. But everything else is very refined. It's been well thought out. This is a platform that's been around a long time, as has the hybrid. The hybrid is seamless. You don't know or care when you're getting electric assist, when the gas engine is coming on. You get a little bit of driving electrically if you want at low speed for a few miles, but in everyday experience, you don't care.
How are the transitions when the engine comes in, goes out, like start,
You
stop?
don't feel it. You just don't feel it. It's sophisticated. And again, it's 20 grand.
Wow. What size screen was the standard
it's
screen?
a little 8-inch screen. It's plenty large for that dash. It's not a huge truck. It's it's a car size vehicle. But in fact, I'll see if I can get you that screen.
While you're talking, I would say the only thing I would probably want mirrors I could adjust from my seat. I think I'd probably want those.
Well,
go up a step, I think,
Yeah. Now, what's really cool about the Escape, the Wrangler, is that the back seat, plenty roomy, plenty comfortable, but it's got a little cloth nylon tab in the front. You pull the tab and the bottom of the seat lifts up, and underneath are storage cabinets.
Wow.
Pretty cool. Not super deep, but hey.
It's good for hiding something under your seat that you don't want everyone looking in and seeing. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you, of course, don't have a trunk.
Well, let me ask you this, Les. You never would probably buy a truck, but would this make you buy a truck?
If I were younger and doing all sorts of house projects, yeah.
And there's probably going to be a ton of accessories. Like certainly this is great for someone that rides bikes or has kayaks, or you could probably get something. Does it have bed pockets like a regular pickup truck bed that you could put like a rack on it to hold a couple of kayaks?
Well, it has fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
But already the aftermarket has engineered
Tons
name it,
stuff,
bed extenders, camper covers. It does tow, but it only has a towing rate, I believe, of for the hybrid, about 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, so a small trailer or something.
Yeah,
like
motorcycle.
That. Yeah. Well, Les, that is pretty cool. To return to the Ford Maverick. We are going to have to wrap it up. Say here, I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.
Bye.